Okay, so welcome to IronRadio Reviews. We are going to taste test something new this month. We kind of previewed it. Michelle did last time. First, we're going to do some intros, and then we're going to get into our product of the month, just some professional and personal opinions and that sort of thing. So I'm Dr. Lowry. I'm a teacher. I'm a nutrition professor. I'm a former competitive bodybuilder, and that's kind of where I'm coming from, just so you know a perspective. Michelle, maybe a sentence about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So I'm Michelle Blakely. I own C, Jake, and Jane Train, and I help fitness professionals become brilliant business people with online courses and coaching. Another layer I bring to the table in these conversations is I am a single working mom of two, so I might throw in a little 2 cents about whether I think smaller humans would eat this or good to have around.
What's up? Dr. Mike Nelson here. I'm right now in Hood River, Oregon, outside, which is nice. Professor at the Carrick Institute and created the Flex Diet Cert. And yeah, excited to taste test some new cool stuff.
Right on. All right, so let's get to it. So this month we have a product. It's Legendary Foods Strawberry Tasty Pastry, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. The purpose, as I looked at it, and it was reasonably well reviewed on Amazon, is sort of a keto or a low-carb toaster pastry, right? So let's start off with the performance, taste, and texture. I guess we're going to have to open these. These are individually wrapped in the box. I believe other toaster pastries come like a Pop-Tart would come in a 2-pack, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Not that I know. Actually, I had to yesterday.
I thought about buying them before.
Okay.
Well, they're soft.
Yeah, so mine's kind of coming and going for my video, but there you go.
I can do pretty. I even got a manicure.
Oh.
First manicure in 7 months, everybody.
Oh, like hand model and
deal.
Oh, wow.
I'm prepared. I'm very well prepared.
Vanna here.
Yeah, that's right. I referenced Vanna White to a client on the phone, and then I thought, oh, they're too young.
Right.
I don't think they know
really?
Vanna White.
Oh,
I don't know. I think it was a little lost.
Mine looks like it bled through the back.
Yes, I was just going to suggest that. Look. Maybe that's the price of keeping regular flour out of the formula, or largely out of the formula. Mike,
that doesn't bother. That makes me feel, it feels more like homemade a little bit, even though I know it's not.
Yeah.
It's a Pop-Tart. But yeah, okay. So
let's do soft. Does it smell like a Pop-Tart to you, Michelle? Women have a better sense of smell.
No.
That's not sexism. That's biology.
Love it.
It doesn't really smell like.
I don't.
Doesn't
smell
like.
much.
Not like a Pop-Tart.
It smells different.
It does not smell like a Pop-Tart, but I don't really smell much. It's not a strong smell.
Yeah. Well, let's give it an initial taste here.
Okay. I feel like I have to go to the middle to get the. The
texture is different. It's not like
chewy.
Yeah. You know, it's sort of like between a Pop-Tart and an old, those little high fructose corn syrup films, those like fruit roll-ups or whatever.
Yeah.
It's sort of, Pop-Tart and a roll-up to me.
Yeah, I'm not getting a lot of, maybe I need to bite it more in the middle. I'm not getting a lot of the fruit yet.
The sprinkles on the surface are almost, they just look like they're colored paint splatter, like food safe color splatter on there.
Yeah.
They're not actual crystals.
You don't have that crystal crunchiness to it.
Yeah, no. It has a very like dry, like dough.
Doughy.
Texture.
Yeah.
Dough, but like raw, like more like raw, like the texture of like a cookie dough more.
Yep. Mike, let's get
the
nutritional rundown. What are your initial thoughts looking at that nutrition facts panel, my man?
Yeah, so calories 170, total fat 13 grams, cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. Total carbohydrates 21, dietary fiber 8, so a little bit higher. Or higher than I would have thought. Not much sugar. They use 5 grams of erythritol. They also use 4 grams of allulose, which is interesting. Protein 9 grams, and not much else. I mean, the main ingredient is almond flour, and then a protein blend using micellar casein, which is nice. Collagen peptides, whey protein, and then erythritol, and then some sunflower oil and a few other things after that. So,
yeah, the allulose. You can remind me, Mike. Isn't that the one the FDA? They made some certain allowances for it now, so a lot of companies when they start using it, I don't think they have to include it with regular sugars on the label or something like that.
Yeah, correct. They've got a little chart here: 21 grams of carbs, but 8 grams is fiber, 5 grams is erythritol, and 4 grams is allulose. So that's a 4 net carb at the end. But I like that they have the breakdown of that, so they actually tell you what that is. A lot of companies are like 2 net carbs. It's like, well, what does that mean? Like, what are you using?
Right, exactly.
They also have a little, I don't know if you guys saw this at the bottom. What is allulose?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they have a statement that says what it is, and then they actually offer a website, allulose.org.
Interesting.
/allulose e-info/.
Yeah.
Which feels like responsible and very kind of transparent, open book.
One thing I'm a little concerned about, to be honest with you, other than the the texture, but is nutritionally, it's got in that protein blend in like parentheses, even though it's the second ingredient after almond flour, it has collagen peptides in there, and that makes me worry a little bit about what you might call nitrogen spiking or protein spiking. So they're trying to get that number up to 9 grams, for the serving of protein. But if it's collagen, that's not going to be very protein synthetic for like muscle building and recovery and stuff. Mike, I know you're a fan of collagen, though, as far as maybe joints and other types of things, right? So there could be some use for the collagen.
Yeah, potentially. That's Keith Barr's work. But you need 15 grams of collagen, 40 to 60 minutes before exercise. It's an interesting model. Again, people aren't going to be readily donating, pieces of their soft tissue on a biopsy. So some of those studies will always be limited.
Right. Yeah. I know on the audio podcast a couple times we talked about collagen and, the synthesis and the turnover and all that in joints. But to me, it's a little bit of a concern. Whenever I see protein blend and then there's little parentheses and they include everything, it's like, well, how much of that is the good stuff, like the micellar casein, and how much of that stuff is questionable, like, pumping some collagen or gelatin or something in there just to kind of jack up the grams of protein on the,
A lot of that's manufacturing too. Collagen has way different properties than whey or micellar casein. So a lot of that is just to make it semi-tolerable in mouthfeel and to stay moist and softer and all that type of stuff.
No, that's a good point. You got to forgive it a little in protein bars and stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you guys, is that a cost decision? Do you think that's a cost decision, or do you think that's like a texture, product?
Probably both.
Decision,
both.
Right.
I think that high on the label, because it's in order of content. When it's that high on the label, that's what makes me concerned. If it's way down the label, I'm with Mike. It could just be mouthfeel or make it soft enough to bite into, and that sort of thing. So, okay. Well, let's. I think as far as similarity goes, that's kind of obvious what this is gonna, be, which is sort of a toaster pastry, right? Not to be too.
Here, I'll hold it.
There you go. Not to be too brand specific, but like a Pop-Tart kind of thing. And hey, if you're trying to cut carbs big time, I'd rather bite into something with just 4 grams of net carbs. I mean, 13 fat seems like a lot. 3.5 of it's sat fat, kind of thing. Michelle, let me ask: do you ever go low carb? And if you do, is this something you would do, or would you just like go whole foods and not even use?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm more, and also, gentlemen, I don't know if it's relevant. I did toast them.
Oh.
How'd that work?
That's important.
Did it help?
The I don't know how well you can see. I took a picture too. I'll send that to you, Lonnie. But like the frosting, right? This stuff, what we would say is the frosting. The first time I toasted it, it like melted right off. Like it, got too hot and like kind of slid right off. Like I think I have that now in the bottom of my toaster. And so then this one, I did it a little differently. I'm gonna take sorry, I should have done. Okay, very different now. If you toast it, see how it kind of like cracks off?
Oh, more
like that looks more like definitely has more of that crunch now, more Pop-Tart-ish.
Oh, okay.
That you were talking about.
Maybe that's the key.
So if you like these, I would toast it lightly because it's going to be more. Don't leave it in there like you would your toast because it'll end up like this. It'll slide off. But
you have
I
to
would
put
toast
them in
it
like
lightly.
a flat toaster oven then?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that might work.
I need a specific toaster oven for them now.
Yeah.
So what about usefulness to yourself?
Yeah. So what's interesting is like these versus another one we've done. I don't taste that like aftertaste kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Usefulness to me, I don't know. No, I don't. What I usually do is if I'm feeling like I'm not eating healthfully enough or I kind of sort of got off track, I will ramp up nutrient-rich foods. Like I'll be like, okay, family size, spinach salad before you have your pizza for lunch, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't usually go to this kind of thing. I was surprised outside of missing the sweetness. It does taste better than I thought. Like it's a very neutral taste. So maybe if I needed, if I was like, okay, I got to eat something, but I need it now, but I don't want it to be, too sugary, too carb heavy. Mm-hmm. I might.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they're in my pantry. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would go out and get them.
Yeah. There's 10 packages per box. And I had to buy them multiple boxes of 10. So, yeah, I don't know if I would buy it almost in bulk, kind of the way that we did it.
Right.
But I don't know if I would go for this one. My experience with the toaster, I know it says not to use too much heat, but mine kind of, even though I turned the heat down, it kind of scorched, and it was just like, it was almost eating like a overcooked fruit roll-up for me. The texture, it was hard for me to get around. So you seem to manage to get that flaky or crispy kind of thing, and my first time with that didn't work. Mike, what about you? Flavor or usefulness to yourself and all that?
It's not too bad. The inside is definitely different than the outside. The outside is a little bit more firm compared to the inside's a little bit more soggy, I guess. Maybe I would say if I'm really watching, calories and want something that's, sweet, yeah, it might work. I mean, most of the time I only eat Pop-Tarts if I'm, kiteboarding. So I had this thing that if I had a really good kiteboard run, then I get to eat 2 Pop-Tarts. So I had 2 Pop-Tarts yesterday. So I knew we were going to do this one today, so I had kind of a direct comparison between the two. Yeah, frosting is definitely different, but standard Pop-Tart frosting is probably more of a ceramic than anything else. So this is maybe more quote unquote real, I guess. But not bad. I wouldn't say they taste a lot like a Pop-Tart. I'd say they're different. Similar to the donuts we did. As long as you're not expecting it to replicate a Pop-Tart, it's not bad.
Yeah.
If you're thinking it's going to replicate a Pop-Tart, it's kind of different, especially the texture.
Right. Well, I'm looking at this, and it's the FD&C red number 40 and yellow number 5 and blue number 1 and that kind of stuff. That's apparently the colors on top. Now, don't get me wrong, a traditional Pop-Tart type toaster pastry, that's not exactly going to be colored with anthocyanins from blueberries.
No.
So I don't want to fling too much heat at them for that. Although, like I said, it almost just looks like kind of a flicked, sprayed color thing on there, which seems a little fakey to me. But again, what are colored sugar crystals or little, the little cookie sprinkles or whatever that are on the regular ones? I don't see that being particularly healthy either.
Yeah.
That's funny you guys noticed that. That didn't bother me, didn't occur to me, didn't surprise me. I was like, oh, that scans. Like, and I think on the Pop-Tarts, it's colored granules of sugar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it's a
so
little
I'm
different.
thinking, like, of course that's not going to be on here, right? Like, so that's if
Right.
just, listeners, like, so that really surprised them. But some of you might be like me, where, you're like, oh yes, they're using a spray gun to shoot flex us.
Oh no, you know what? That's true. It's good to get different perspectives, right? Because if this passes the sniff test, and you're like, oh, yeah, all right, whatever, that looks right, then you just move on. And Mike and I are like, I don't know, is this kind of sprayed?
Yeah.
Sprayed.
Feel it is
But
smooth.
I love that. I love that. I'm reading the label and I'm like, dried strawberries. Like, there are lots of things I can just read in this, in the ingredients list, right?
Strawberry extract, yeah.
No, it says dried Oh, yes, correct. Well, it's saying
There
the
is
oil
both.
is dried strawberries.
Oh, got it. Dried strawberries. Yeah, you're right. And let's face it. I mean, if you're really
which is surprising,
super low carb, this could be a godsend in a sense that if you need something sweet, and you're like, I am wigging out here, it's
right.
something that you can eat. I mean, to try to remove carbs from a Pop-Tart, that's a tall order.
Oh yeah,
So,
especially when it's mostly carbs.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
I mean,
exactly.
some of these things that we're reviewing, I think back to, remember when no fat butter came out decades ago?
Olestra?
I remember, like, what was that?
Olestra?
Just like in the grocery store, like you could buy, fat-free butter. Like they were coming up with
fat-free everything. Yeah.
I remember my mom and I just looked at each other, and it was like, what could possibly be in it? Like,
right.
butter is just a stick of fat.
It is fat, right?
So I think when you're trying to replicate something that is inherently the opposite of, that has everything you're trying to omit, you're leaning into a tough challenge. And I think
true.
We're looking at these with that perspective.
Yeah,
right?
It's one thing to have something like higher fiber oatmeal. It's already kind of like that. You know what I mean? But this is a carbohydrate product of sugar crystals and flour that they've removed all of that. So what's it made from? So
Right.
Recommendations, Michelle, like to your clients. I know obviously you're sort of elevated into the business end of things a lot now.
Yeah,
but,
no. Would I recommend it to my
yeah,
client? So if I had a studio owner or a personal trainer that was working with, that was a, former fitness competitor, or was, attracting those kinds of clients, right? That were training for competitions and things, I would share with them and be like, yeah, Lonnie and Mike and I were on the podcast and they evaluated it, and it's doable. Like, it's a thing. I would recommend it as a thing to try for my, as a personal trainer with personal training clients. I don't know. I would really push them more toward, nutrient rich foods as a substitute for their indulgent, high carb, processed Pop-Tart type snacks and breakfast things. That's more the advice I give. But I think for those trying to cut and have really aggressive, like competitive, aesthetic goals, man, try it, because you need everything you can, because that takes a lot of discipline and willpower.
That was a lot of my thinking. I would not recommend this to somebody who we're looking at the protein number. 9 protein. I'm not convinced that this is enough of this is casein to really help with the kind of the protein muscle building or recovery side of things. But for somebody, who's doing like cyclic ketogenic diets, and Monday through Friday, they're like 0 carbs and they carb up on the weekends. I knew a lot of bodybuilder competitors who would eat like that to get ready, of course, like kind of like what you're saying. If it's real strict, this could be that thing that keeps you from wigging out on a giant bowl of Lucky Charms or something like that. Mike, how about you for recommendation?
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, if someone's just like more on the low carb end of the spectrum, I think it may be a useful thing, especially if they really like those types of foods. Yeah, similar to you guys. I mean, just a general population clients, maybe, if you really want something sweet that's a little bit more, I guess, controlled, for lack of a better word, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it depends on the context. I think a lot of it goes back to what are their preferences too. It's like if I'm low carb, but I want something that tastes like a lot like a carbohydrate-y food, yeah, probably a good option. If you're never really know what Pop-Tarts are, I'm probably not going to tell you to go buy it.
Right. I wouldn't tell them this is a great Pop-Tart substitute.
Yeah,
I would tell
it's just
them,
different.
yes, this is a, semi-sweet, carbohydrate feeling type thing. I mean, one of the things we said, it tastes like dough, or it
Yeah.
textures like dough. So somebody who's really cutting carbs and just being super strict, like they might miss that, feel.
Yeah, sweetness, the mouthfeel. Yeah.
Yeah, and good point, Michelle. It's not sickly sweet. You'd think maybe this is overdone with the sucralose or
No, it's
whatever.
not too
And it's
bad.
not. No. And what's looking at a lot over the years, a lot of young people's, like my students, for example, that like with projects and whatnot, like they do 3-day diet logs, and 20 years of looking at this, some of these students don't get 8 fiber all day. So this is going to be a serious fiber bump for somebody like in that category who's living, like you said, Michelle, like on junky processed food. To me, this has a processed feel almost to it, or synthesized kind of, artificial feel, but not in the way that most processed foods are just junk.
I agree with. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, there it is, everybody. Legendary Foods Tasty Pastry Strawberry, and some thoughts. And then next month, we're still in the purchasing phase, kind of, about what we're going to look at. Phil is pestering me for a couple of energy drink-related products. So maybe if we do something like that, it might be fun to drink a little bit before we come on air. And, then we're talking like auctioneers, like we're so excited.
You gentlemen might regret that. You might regret that. I've trained my clients on... They can tell when Michelle has had coffee. Like they're like, "Oh God, woman!
Oh boy!
Like, did you have coffee?" So that might be a hilarious episode. I don't know.
Might be fun.
Yeah. Okay. Until next time, everybody.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.